Hey y'all, CB here at NBS Welding. Got a little doozing we got to get done for a buddy of mine, and we're going to show you what we got. Pontoon boat. Pretty nice boat, but definitely got a little issue here. You see, it has these fins, I guess I'm going to call them. I don't know a whole lot about pontoons or what the actual name of this part is, but I know enough to tell you it ain't supposed to be like this here. And I know enough about aluminum to tell you I can fix it. So that's the doozing we're going to get done. There's probably going to be two different welding processes used here. If I was judging by what I can see, you could definitely TIG weld all of this. I probably will do some repair with the TIG and then reinstall the bracket with pulse MIG aluminum. So we'll have the Arc Captain TIG 200P for the repair part. We're going to have the Arc Captain MIG 205 MP with a spool gun and probably some 035 wire and argon on pulse MIG to put it back on here. But I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as repair and reinstallation. If you look, obviously it was welded here and those welds have broke there and there. You might think that you would take those welds completely off. I probably will not. I probably will power brush them really well with a stainless steel power brush and weld over them. And I'd be using that weld to puzzle piece this back together so that I know that I'm putting it exactly in the place where I took it off. Now the repair that I'm talking about, before that weld failed, the aluminum itself broke. So it was probably welded on there good enough. If those welds, if those welds would have held even more, then you just would have had more tearing of the material itself. So even though some people in this situation might say that it wasn't welded good, the fact that the fins got the damage it's got proves it was welded pretty good. So anyways, let's get to work on this. We'll get it fixed for him. To get this job started, the first tool I'm going to be using is the death wheel. If you've seen me work aluminum before, you might have seen me run the death wheel. This is a 5 3/8 inch metal cutting saw blade on a low RPM, variable RPM rotary, and it's probably the most dangerous tool I've got. If this thing hits you, you're going to the hospital, but it's the most effective and non-contaminating way to grind aluminum, so there are certain times when I use it. I ground about 3/4 or more of the way through that first weld that was still holding. And then I get out my favorite sanding pad. This is a 5-inch sanding pad that I run on a 4.5-inch backer pad. And working aluminum, the first thing I always do is I'll treat that pad with beeswax like you see me do. That keeps the sanding pad from getting galled up with the aluminum. Next thing is I get out another low RPM rotary with a stainless steel power brush. And this is the one I use on aluminum. Is not only is it stainless steel, but also it's a power brush that isn't knotted. It's not the real aggressive knotted type of a power brush. Those are a little too aggressive for aluminum, and the high-speed 10,000 or more RPM grinders are a little too much for power brushing the aluminum. That's why I use the variable speed low RPM rotary. In all of these three areas where I'm going to be grinding, I'll use this power brush and clean that area up really well. And I continue cleaning as I'm welding too. do a lot of cleaning on aluminum. The aluminum oxides form on the aluminum virtually the second you stop cleaning it. So it's something that you just got to stay on top of. And the other thing I'm using here that I haven't used before is this hood, which is the new one of the new hoods that Art Captain sent me. This is the X200. In the last video I did, I used the cheaper S800, and this X200 is a full-featured model with the big lens, and it's really, really nice, and the headgear is much nicer. And the other thing that I recognized when I saw this on video is this thing looks cool. So if that's a factor for you while you're welding, if you want to be welding and look cool, not only is this a fantastic lightweight full featured hood, but it looks cool. It looks a lot cooler in my opinion than that cheaper S800. Although the S800, for what it cost, it functioned quite well. I started out, once I got this piece on the table, I started out with hammering and got it straightened out where it was bent, and there was this and that needed a few kinks hammered out of it. Then I used the sander and the power brush to get things cleaned up and get it ready to do the repair. Now, this part of the repair is, this part of the job is where I'm going to be TIG welding. I want to TIG weld where this fin section was cracked. Although I don't think TIG is the best choice for putting it back on the pontoon. And at that point, I'm going to be using the aluminum MIG. But on this repair, where we've got the cracking, I think the TIG is the right thing to do. Now, this is actually going to be the first job where I use the TIG 200P with the TIG button from TIGcontrol.com. I did a recent video explaining the TIG button and how it works, and we've got it working on the my first gen Art Captain TIG 200P, and I've got word back from the guys at TIG Button, and they've been working on some of the other stuff that I sent them as far as the second gen Art Captain machines, and they're going to be sending me a wire that makes the TIG Button work on the second gen machines, and I'm going to be testing that soon too, so that's coming up. Now, I've got this, this is the flex head torch hooked up to the Art Captain TIG 200P, and I'm operating this with the TIG button amp control instead of the foot pedal. There's certain times where this TIG button amp control is just a whole lot better, and places where it's hard to use a foot pedal. Now, in this particular job, I could have used a foot pedal. But considering that we just recently got the TIG button set up and working, and talking to the Art Captain TIG 200P the way it's supposed to talk to it, now that we've got that communication set up, I was so excited to use the TIG button that even though this is a job where the foot pedal would have worked, I'm using the TIG button anyway. And another thing that I've been testing, I've become a Fitville affiliate, and with Fitville, they have mostly footwear, but a lot of other apparel and sunglasses and things that I'm testing. And I'm wearing their steel core composite toe work boots, and man, are they comfortable. There's a link in the description of my videos that'll take you to the Fitville. I've tested their steel core composite toe work boot. That's what I'm wearing in this video. I've also tested their Lugmax outdoor shoe. I absolutely love that. And I've been running in their running shoe, the Jet Core running shoe they make. I've got over 117 miles on my Jetcore running shoes and absolutely love them. So for this weld repair now, there's weld built up on the backside that goes against the pontoon. And where that weld goes against the pontoon, I'm going to be sanding that off. So I got out my sanding pad, treated it with the beeswax so it doesn't get galled up, and I'm removing that weld that would be in the way. Now on the other side, I will not be removing the weld. I would always leave as much there as I could, but where it's going to be up against the pontoon, it's got to be sanded off in order to get it fit up correctly. So I'm sanding that off, and that'll be part of getting it ready to go on there and fit tightly up against the pontoon. Here I'm got it clamped the other way, and I'm sanding the other part, treating it with my beeswax so my sanding pad doesn't get galled up with aluminum. And I've got a t-shirt ad I put in a lot of my videos. I'm not going to put it in this one, but I'm just going to say, if you'd be interested in buying an NBS Welding t-shirt, send Tina an email request to nbswelding@aol.com. She'll get you hooked up. We'd like to sell some t-shirts too. I'm at a loss on t-shirts so far. So with the Arc Captain MiG 205 MP, one of the weird things is when I've got this machine set on spool gun like I do, it's not going to let me pulse. And I was wanting to try the pulse with the spool gun. So I just flipped it on MiG mode. And when I go to MiG mode, now I can, when I press the pulse button, I get pulse. One of the things that it's not going to let me do in pulse, I've got my gas selected as aluminum MIG, but in the regular MIG mode, it's only offering 040 diameter or 045, which makes sense because in the regular MIG mode, this thing thinks I'm going to push the aluminum wire through a standard gun instead of a spool gun, and you'd want only the larger diameter wire to be doing that. So what I'm going to do to trick it is I'm going to be tricking it by setting it in 040 while I'm running 035 wire, and I'm going to be setting the voltage at -3 on the balance. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to kind of make it think that I want less heat, but I'm not really getting that much less heat. The fact is, instead of 040 wire that it thinks I've got, I'm actually running 035 wire in the spool gun. So even though I've got the machine set at -3 volts in the SIN feature, it's not really the same because of the fact that I'm running smaller wire than it thinks I am. Just hacking my way to get it to work. Now, I'm taking a small drill bit and I'm going to the area where I'm going to be finishing my weld, and I'm going to make a hole in the pontoon. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want somewhere for that air to escape when the pontoon heats up. I don't want to worry about welding on this thing and it getting hot in there and creating pressure. Heat will create pressure inside of a vessel like this. And probably the quickest and easiest way to make sure that that's not going to be an issue is I just went to the place where I know I'm going to finish my welding, and I drilled a little 1/8 inch or smaller hole, and that's going to let that out. And then, of course, you know, when I finish up my weld, that hole's going to get welded shut like nothing ever happened. So during the time that I was making these multi-pass welds where I'm welding over the old weld, I did make a couple different adjustments on the machine. I made a heat adjustment and a balance adjustment, and I showed that on video. If you wanted to see that, you would see what I did. Now, after I got the back where I wanted it, the front was coming out a little bit. And this is a situation where these clamps, these long finger clamps that I'm using, I use those so rarely. It's just not something you use much, but it's one of them things where you get in a position like that and it's like one of the only things that would have worked to pull that together as quick and easy as I just pulled it together. So even though those things probably sat there for who knows how long and didn't get used, they got used here for sure, and they really made a quick and easy job out of what was being done there. So not making anything beautiful here. We're making her strong and getting her welded up, and kind of welding over old welds and whatever. But we want to make a quick and easy, affordable repair on this. And with this plate being on the inside of a pontoon, I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit less worried about appearance on this. It's just not something you're going to be staring at when you look at this boat.